everybody, welcome back. You're here in Manifesting Your Dreams, and we're having a great time here with Chelsi today. We're going over one of the probably most important chapters in the book, but also one of the most overlooked. You know why? Because it's kind of like at the end of the book, right? And you know, I don't know if you know this about statistics here in the US. Only 10% of the people that buy books will read beyond the first chapter. Did you know that?
That's terrible.
10%, right? In other words, so if, I'm guilty of that too, buying books and don't even read them sometimes, right? But only 10% will go beyond the first chapter. I find that incredible. So we talk about some of the things that people have done to manifest their dreams. We talk about having the desire to make things happen. We have talked about in other previous segments, previous chapters. If you haven't seen them, you really want to go and see them. Having imagination to make things happen, right? But there's one thing that if you go into manifesting books or tapes and things like that, that seldom they actually bring up to our awareness is the challenges that people go through, right? It always looks like they say you want something, just meditate on it and imagine it for 5 minutes and the universe will bring it to you like a Lyft driver picking you up and taking you somewhere, a Uber driver, right? But we know the truth is a little bit different, right? We know you have to do the right things, but at the same time, challenges will show up. In most cases, unexpected, right? Like we didn't know something was going to happen. And I'm sure in some of your trips, you have experienced something like that, right? So, but one thing that we have as a human being is fear, right? It's a self-protective mechanism that we have, for instance, because we want to stay alive, right? So sometimes if you have a desire that is way beyond your comfort zone, part of your brain is going to go like, you might get hurt.
Yeah.
Your feelings might get hurt. Don't go on that date with that guy. It's gonna break your heart, whatever. And then you may not go out with the guy that you really, should have go out with, or a lady or whatever, right? So Napoleon Hill identified 6 actually major fears that we all have in common. And he said, if you really want to be successful, you have to be ready for them and you have to overcome them. So we're going to talk about those in a minute. But when I first met you, right, we were talking, and then I was very impressed by your desire to learn more, to grow, to expand, and also to help other people. And you shared the story, and I'd like everybody to hear it, about how your grandfather inspired you to go on your trip to Spain. Could you take a couple of minutes and just share how that happened and your experience on that?
Sure. So right before I moved to Las Vegas, my grandpa, who was, I think he might have been 64 at the time, he walked the Camino de Santiago, which is in Spain, and it's a 500-mile pilgrimage where you're just
500 miles.
Yeah.
Just write that down. 500 miles,
yeah.
right?
And you're walking with your backpack, and that's all you have. It's just kind of you out there on the trail, and I thought, wow, that's ridiculous, Grandpa. I'm absolutely, I don't know why you would do that or put yourself through that, but I moved to Las Vegas, and actually with my grandparents for 6 months, and he started talking to me more about it and showed me pictures, and I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach, and I thought, oh God, I'm gonna do this. And I bought a ticket like a month and a half after I decided, so I hadn't really prepared much. But my grandpa kept telling me, Chelsi, if you wait around for someone to do this with you, you're never gonna get it done. And that was inspiring in itself to me, because I was afraid to go alone. I didn't think I was capable of doing something like that. I mean, I'd never walked that far in my life, let alone traveled to another country on my own. But I bought the ticket and decided, okay, well, I better start training. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences that I've ever had. At that point in my life, I'd kind of, I don't know, I was working a lot, and I thought, okay, happiness is going to be if I get this amount of money. So I tried, I worked, I made my first $10,000, and there was still something lacking, and I didn't feel that spiritual connection anymore. I do things in my life every day where I'm working with other people, and I had really withdrawn from that. So I went on this trip with just my backpack and a little bit of cash in my pocket, and I met these wonderful people along the way, and it became less about how am I going to finish this in a certain amount of time, in a certain way, and more about, okay, how are we going to do this together? Because it was about 7 of us. And
Wow.
Yeah, we would meet at different hostels at certain points. Yeah, and we were just complete strangers, and we really connected, and that's what I had realized I was missing in my life. It was just that connection, and it took me walking 500 miles in Spain.
All the way in
Spain. With this heavy
right?
backpack and the most excruciating pain I'd ever been in, but it was also so beautiful, and I just realized if I took the time to reconnect with the people in my daily life, everything's going to be okay. It's not about the money, it's not about what I'm wearing or how I look, it's just simply about connecting with others.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Has your grandfather done the walk?
Yeah.
So he did it before.
In fact, he did it in, I think, 29 days, and I did it in 34. And not
so
only...
it took 34 days.
Yeah,
Wow.
so he actually did it faster and walked 3 days further than I did, which is very impressive. In fact, he's on the PCT right now, walking 1,000 miles or 700 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
He's my hero.
That's fantastic. And you say so many things that really, I need to watch this again because I need to take notes. You know, this is like fascinating. Number one, and we did cover the power of decision, right? See, you made a decision. You said, I'm going to make that happen before you figured out all the details, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that all successful people have in common, by the way. People that are successful, they decide first, I'm going to make this happen, and then they figure out the way to do it, right?
Yeah.
People that have forgotten the dreams are the ones that they wait till everything is perfect before they actually decide. And your grandfather said, she said, if you wait till you have everything, you're not going to do it, right?
Yeah, and I can think myself out of any situation, honestly. I'll always find something wrong. And if I really want to do it, I think the key is to just take action and have faith that it's going to work out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing that you said is like so many times we want to accomplish things because we think that's going to make us happy,
Yeah.
right? And then it's not the case. There's always like, oh, this is all there is, right? You know,
Yeah.
we get the car or we get the house or we get the whatever, and then after a while you go like, oh, it's like, oh, there's something more, right?
Yeah.
That we want. There's nothing wrong with getting those things, right? But what I learned a while ago, and we talk about Anthony Robbins and things like that, is like he said, don't accomplish to be happy, but be happy first and accomplish later, right? Because then you really enjoy the journey, right?
And as cliche as it is, I
Yes.
think it's really about the journey and not the destination.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So like Jim Rohn is another of my favorites. You know, he said, yeah, you can set a goal to become a millionaire, but not to have the $1 million but because of the person that you will become in the process,
Yes.
right? It's like, look at the person you became. It was not the 500 miles or completing it, it's the person that you became after that. I can promise you, you were a different person going in and flying back, right?
Absolutely.
So how did you show up? So how did you show up back in your life, you know, when you came back after that experience?
Well,
Couple of things that you notice or maybe people notice.
well, I stopped trying to acquire a certain amount of money. I stopped trying to do things for myself so much. And another aspect in my life, I'm actually sober 5.5 years or so.
All right, that's a lot.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. 5 years, wow.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
So usually every evening I try to work with other alcoholics and try and contribute a little bit to
You
their
pay me
lives.
forward.
Yeah,
You
I
pay
want
me
to pay it
forward.
forward, and that was
Fantastic.
something I had really withdrawn from before that trip because I was so stuck in self. And so when I got back, I tried to rededicate myself and to stop showing up and thinking, what can I take from these situations and more, what can I contribute?
What can I give, right?
Exactly.
Wow, that's very, very powerful. That's fantastic. Wow, look at all the things you do.
Thank you.
Wow, how do you get the time to do all that? That's fantastic.
Well,
That's beautiful.
Honestly, I can't take all the credit though.
Yeah.
It's these wonderful people in my life had just picked me up when I was broken and they paid it forward. And so I feel like it's my duty to just keep paying it forward. So I can't take all of the credit.
Absolutely. But you know, it's so powerful that you said that because imagine if every single person in this planet had that attitude. You know, or every single person in our country, on our city. And maybe that's too much to ask, but how about the people in our circle, right?
Yeah.
And I think those are the ones that we can control. In other words, like what if just a little group of us, 3, 5, 7, 15, 20, we all have that attitude. It's like, how can we help each other? How can we pay forward, right? And then it says like a high tide elevates all boats, right? So that's fantastic. And you see, if you live in Vegas, and I don't know where you are. By the way, you can type down there wherever you are. We like to know where you are. But if you live in Vegas, you know after the tragedy that happened here last year, how the whole community got together, and then on the nights, the Golden Nights, how the whole community got together. It was not about hockey. It was about people getting together, right, and doing something in common. And then actually, what happened was fantastic. So Camino de Santiago, look it up. Do you remember what part of Spain is that?
Oh gosh, I started in France. Honestly, I would just recommend looking it up because
Camino de Santiago. And who was Santiago? Do you know that?
Oh gosh.
Okay, we look it up. We'll find that out. But it's like it's just the fact because when I was a teenager I was growing up in Buenos Aires, and they have the Virgin of Luján, right? And I was a teenager, and then people would walk. I have no idea how long that was, but it was a long walk, and we walked all night. We slept in the floor wherever we were. We were too tired, and we just friends. And then we did that and then eventually we end up in the Basilica of the Virgin of Luján, who had made some incredible miracles there. Yeah. But it was the bonding experience. I mean, it was not 500 miles, right? But it was quite a long trip, But at that moment, it didn't make any difference because it was just getting together with a common objective and enjoying the journey, and then knowing that we always have more, right? Whatever we're doing, we have more. So we're gonna come back, and we like to talk about your last trip to Europe and how did that happen, and also about the hiking that you done and how you lead groups into meditation and things like that. Guys, she's only 26, and what she's doing is incredible. So we have no excuses at all. But if you just join us, we're gonna go to a break. You're in manifesting your dreams, and every week we get together. We pick up an idea, like in this case, it's overcoming fears, right? And we want to inspire you to go after your dreams, but not just inspire you and go get them, Tiger, but also give you tips, give you strategies, and we like to hear from you how you're making things happen. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.